Hi, I'm Angel from FleeceFun.com, and today we are making these handy dandy pot holders cute and functional. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need the following. You will need a 7 by 9 inch square of fabric. You're going to need 2 of those. And then you're also going to need a couple of 7 by 7 inch square pieces of fabric if you want to make the pot holder that has the hand holders. But you can just make a plain pot holder too if you want. Choice is yours. You'll also need something, it's called insulated batting. You can kind of hear the crackle. And there's actually metal in here, and so it's actual insulation, and you really need this if you're going to make a pot holder just for safety's sake. So I think this brand is called Insulbright. And then some regular cotton batting. Make sure it's 100% cotton. You don't want to melt something that is partially cotton, partially poly, man-made, whatever it is. You'll also need the free pattern that's provided. The link is in the description box below, and you'll need this for cutting out all the pieces. And some bias tape. You'll need a yard of bias tape to finish it off. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our sandwich. And to make our sandwich, we are going to actually use a handy tool called 505. Now, it's used by quilters all the time. It's really a convenient tool. If you don't have access to this though, glue stick will work just as well. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make our sandwich. So I'm going to take our first piece of fabric here and I'm going to put that so it's right side down. And then I'm going to take this cotton batting, and as you can see I kind of have my surface protected here, and I'm going to take the spray. I'm just going to spray this, and this is great because it's just going to tack it down. It's just going to hold it down for me. And the great part is it's temporary adhesive, so if I mess up, I can just take it off and start over again. It's very forgiving, which is good. So we're going to do that. Next, we're going to take our insulated batting. We're going to put that on, and again, we're going to continue to make our sandwich. Ta-da! And then last but not least, we're going to put this on so the right side of the fabric is out. So you have your whole sandwich of your pot holder. And again, glue stick will work just as well. I like this way because it is just a little faster. Now, don't worry about the ends being perfect. They're going to be off. It's okay. Now I'm lucky with this fabric because I have these easy lines I can follow if I'm going to top stitch. And actually, please refer to our top stitching video that we have to kind of give you quick tips and tricks on how to top stitch. But I can just follow the line of the fabric if I want. Or if you're not lucky enough to have fabric that has lines on it, you can draw your own lines. So you're just going to take your ruler and you'll mark the fabric yourself if you don't have these convenient lines like this pattern does in this fabric. So you'll just mark it yourself, just corner to corner, nice clean line, and then out from there. All right, so this handy dandy pattern you can actually cut down for a couple of uses. So what you're going to do is you're just going to use these dotted lines and you're going to cut the pattern down and use it for a couple of things. We need to cut out the mitt parts of the pot holder. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take plain cotton batting and you're going to cut out 2 of those. So just place it on. And you can even just draw an outline on here if you wanted to and then cut it out. But I'm just going to quickly do that with my scissors. And then you also need to cut out, and again, this doesn't have to be perfect, and I'll show you why in a minute. You'll need to cut out the fabric part. You'll be kind of sloppy with the batting. So there's the batting. And then for the fabric, you're going to actually place it on the fold. And what I mean by that is that you're going to fold the fabric and double it over, and you're going to cut that out on the fold. So right there, cut around so when you unfold it, that's what you get. And you'll cut out 2 of these. Once you have all those pieces, you're going to take this guy and make another sandwich. Put it in there. And again, you can use a glue stick, you can use 505 spray. Even had someone suggest hairspray. Yeah, that'd probably work too. So just glue stick, sandwich. Now since this fabric doesn't have those handy dandy lines, I'm going to have to draw them on myself using my marking pen. Easy, easy though. And with the holder part, it's just a matter of kind of looking at it and gauging it. Like, that looks good, down to the corner. I'm going to mark it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that and line that up with my mat here. So there's the line, and then I'm going to make them about 2 inches apart. So I can mark that there. So there's a line, and there's a line. And look at it, oh, maybe I want it a little more, so I'll make them 1 inch apart. And that's where I'm going to top stitch. Now, of course, top stitching with batting is quilting. All right, so now that I have this all set up, I'm going to take my pieces and take them over to the sewing machine. All right, so I'm just going to follow that center line and pull it all the way down. I've lengthened my stitch out a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier. You can, if you want to, use a walking foot, but this will work on a regular machine as well. Just take your time. And let's back up. There we go. Now I'm going to keep just going every few stripes. Just decide on whatever pattern you want to use and stick with it. And you don't have to just do the angled stripe, you could also go diagonal the other way, and it gives it kind of a nice crisscross diamond pattern. You're the designer, you get to decide. All right, I'm going to keep doing that all the way across on both sides. All right, same thing for the mitt holder parts of the pot holder. We're just going to follow those lines that I drew all the way down. Now, of course, because this is going to be exposed, we want to try and finish the seam as nicely as possible, which means just a couple of stitches back and a couple of stitches forward. So when we lock the seam, we just want to try and keep it nice. All right, I'm just going to keep going. So if you notice, our sandwich that we've now quilted together is a little uneven. Don't worry about it. It's okay, because we're going to cut it off. So we're going to take our pot holder pattern, and we're going to just place it right there, and you can see how nice it just sits right on there, and we just really have to round off those corners. Okay? So we're just going to trim that down, and you can put it on any way you want. You can just clip it really fast, or pin it, whatever you want. But all I'm going to do is just shave off those corners. And yes, I'm going to cut through those seams. Don't worry about it. It'll be just fine, because we will finish off those edges later. And it'll look all nice and neat. Just trim it down. There you go. You have your pot holder. So if you're just making this without the hand-holding parts, then all you have to do is add on your bias tape and you're finished. But if you're going to add this onto it, what you're going to do is you're going to add your nice holders there. And at this point I like to clip it because the layers are so thick. And instead, some people would just like to add their bias tape and be done with it, but because you're dealing with so many layers, it's going to be a lot easier if you just zigzag stitch all the way around, because it'll kind of make a nice flat surface to add the bias tape to. So that's what we're going to do next. So we're just going to do a medium zigzag stitch all the way around, and I have it on about a 3. Whichever you want is up to you. I'm using the inside of the foot here kind of as my guide along the edge. And I'm just going to go all the way around. If you feel like it's pushing up, just make sure the needle's in. I'm going to smooth out that fabric and keep going. We're just going to go all the way around. All right, so now it's time to start adding the bias tape. But before we do that, we're going to add the little loop part to the top. And all you'll need is just a 6-inch strip of the bias tape. And what you're going to do is just do a straight stitch all along the edge just to finish it off. Really easy. Don't even need to show you that one. And then what you're going to do is just sew it to the back of your pot holder, just at the top there. And a little trick I like to do is just kind of fold it in half, and then you can kind of figure out the placement from there. All right, so once you have that loop on, it's time to add the bias tape. Now, if you haven't, please review our video on how to use bias tape because it'll make this part a lot easier to understand. But if you already know what you're doing, great. We're just going to get started by adding on our bias tape and sewing all the way around. All right, so since we're sewing through so many layers, you might need to lengthen your stitch just a little bit. But we're just going to do a straight stitch all the way around, adding that bias tape.